Okay, in this question here, we need to round each of these numbers to two significant figures. We need to understand what significant figures are before we can go ahead and do this. And I'm going to give an example with this number here. So let's say we've got this number 0.00300, and we want to find which numbers are significant here. So which are the numbers that actually carry some significant value? Let's say that we're measuring this to be kilometers, and someone's gone ahead and measured that, and you might wonder, why did they put the zeros at the end of the 3? So maybe they actually did a measurement and it was flat 0.003 kilometers. We can also say that this is the same as 3.00 meters as well, and therefore we can say the significant figures here are the 3, of course, because it's telling us that there are 3 of these meters, and then these zeros which have actually been measured out are significant as well. There is no more than that or no less than that. But when we consider these zeros here before the 3, they're not so important to us, because when we're, say, converting units, we don't really consider them, especially when we're looking at this in meters. So I can use a very similar example by saying 0.0302, for example. And here, there are also 3 significant figures here, even though there is a 0 there too. So there are a couple of rules when we are doing significant figures questions, and they've been written here for you. So significant figures, so the instructions, you start from left to right and counting non-zero digits, including any zeros in between them. Okay, so that's the first rule. So for this one here, we've started from left to right, counting non-zero digits, so, and the 0 between them as well. So here, 1, 2, 3, and the zeros in between as well. Count trailing zeros only when there is a decimal. So in the cases that we had above here, count trailing zeros only when there is a decimal present, okay? Because that decimal actually says that we haven't done any rounding, we've actually precisely, done that measurement. And don't count the leading zeros, as we mentioned before. Okay, so if we were to consider rounding these numbers to two significant figures, we would basically be doing the same thing while we round. So this number here firstly has 4 significant figures. So if I was to round it to 2 significant figures, I'm basically taking it from here, and I do use my approximately equal to sign. And because the 6 after the line is going to round up, this would round to 2600, and this is 2 significant figures. And you might think, well, hold on a second, doesn't these zeros hold any value? Because we rounded, these here are not what we call significant, so this has 2 significant figures. If we consider the next example here, okay, so this number at the moment has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 significant figures. We just only want 2, so we're rounding it to 2 significant figures. Approximately equals to sign. This here, the 0 after the line rounds down, so this is going to be 23,000. And you can see that there. Okay, so if you look at the decimal places after that, we're ignoring that because we only want 2 significant figures, as you can see there. Okay, last example. We're going to look at how many significant figures this has now. So at the moment, we have, if we follow our rules from left to right, counting non-zero digits, including any zeros in between them, not the trailing. We count trailing zeros only when there is a decimal. Don't count the leading zeros. So these are leading zeros. So this has 4 significant figures at the moment. We only want 2. So this is where we're going to draw our line. The 5 rounds the 0 up to a 1. So this is going to be 0.041. 2 significant figures. So if we just go back to the example, the first 2 examples, 2600. So if we were to actually make this a number that has four significant figures, we would actually need to make a decimal point present, because at the moment, if you just saw this number 2600 and you saw it on its own, it's a bit ambiguous, meaning that we're not too sure if it's actually been rounded or it is actually been measured to 2600. So in order to be less ambiguous, if you were to say, I want this to be four significant figures, then you go put a decimal place here, and then that would signify, okay, this is where it stops, and I've measured approximately 2600 units of whatever kind.